Hello, everyone. Thanks for joining me today for this presentation. My name is Dr. Rod Zabo, and today I'm going to be talking to you about becoming a change agent in your school. If you have not watched the RWLD yet, please pause this video right now and first read and watch the TED Talks in the RWLD and then come back to this presentation. And also make sure as you're watching this presentation, use your hashtag UNIETD and Twitter account to stay in touch and engage in a conversation, talking about your own ideas and how you're going to be a change agent, or why you think being a change agent is important in today's community and school. One of the first questions to start with is, who is a change agent? Of course, you can search for that definition in Google, and there are many ways to define it. But I decided to reach out to some of my professional learning network when I was in a conference 2 weeks ago and asked them who they think a change agent is and whether they think it's an important role or not. What kind of role you should have to be able to be a change agent. So let's watch those videos and then we will come back here.
A change agent is anyone who sees an area that can be improved. It can be anyone in the entire chain of the workforce, from the custodian all the way up to the president. Change agent is not an official position. I like having change agents around because they see things that can be improved. And when you make improvements for our processes, procedures, or even protocols and policies, then this is going to improve the overall institution. And I like having an institution that runs better all the time.
So here's my philosophy on change. Everything changes. The question is, are you helping to shape that change, or is that change shaping you? So in my opinion, if the change is shaping you, you're not a change agent. But anybody who takes control and looks at the future and goes, how can I help shape change in a direction I want it to go into, they're a change agent.
The important thing with change agents is to realize that you can be a leader and affect change from any position. You don't need to have a position of leadership to be a change agent.
Well, for me, a change agent can be anyone. And it can be a very positive or negative change agent. But what I think is who a change agent is somebody that is in a leadership role or takes the initiative to actually lead any outcome to fruition. And do I like change agents? Absolutely. I think we have to have change agents in this world to be able to move all projects or all initiatives forward. And that's what I think.
Now that you have watched these videos and you have read the RWLD, hopefully after watching the TED Talk where Todd Rose talked about how designing for average student is causing challenges for students in school today and leads to failure for students. And after watching Atkinson video talking about the challenges that are facing a change agent, I want you to take a little time for reflection. Throughout this semester, you have experienced doing different things in a student-centered way. You have collaborated with classmates who often have different personalities. Now I want you to think and reflect, and also use your hashtag UNIETD to write some of your reflections, some of your answers to these questions as you're reflecting. Talk about what are the big ideas that you can take away from this or other classes that you are taking. Start with what is available. How can you effectively transfer what works well into your classroom? And then also think about what are some changes that I can foresee myself contributing to when I go to teach as a student teacher, as the third level field experience student. What are some of those changes that I can bring to the school when I go to work there? Believe me, The third question says, when can I be a change agent? You can be a change agent from today. You can contribute to make your classroom that you are a student in a better classroom for your peers and your teacher. And you can be a change agent later when you teach your own classes, so you don't have to wait to be a change agent. So as you are writing your tweets, also try to interact with other classmates from the other section of the class to talk about these questions and do a little bit of a reflection. Now, talking about being a change agent, we have to be very mindful that how we are getting started. It's not always that you have a good idea to start with. As a change agent, you always want to seek, you always want to look and carefully observe what's happening around you. And then after the observation, you want to do study. You want to review some peer-reviewed journal articles. You want to read blogs of the other teachers and colleagues. You want to connect with your professional learning network through the chats and talks that are available. You want to participate in the webinars. Sometimes, if it is available or possible to you, attend conferences. So first you want to inspire yourself with what's happening around you, what's coming up in the future. Keep the problem and idea in mind. You want to try to find a focus. After you get inspired, don't let yourself to get distracted. Look at how the change can improve a process or something that is happening in your classroom, at your school, or the institution that you're working at. So try to stay focused and don't let yourself get distracted. Communicate with appropriate people or stakeholders and resources. The stakeholders are administrative, students, anyone who is somehow influenced by that change. So it's very important to be able to communicate why is this change that you're advocating for is that important. Why should I come out of my comfort zone and do something different, not knowing that it's going to result in better solutions or better results. So it's very important to be able to communicate that why the change is important, what are the results of it, using some examples from other institutions, and communicating what you foresee happening in the future if you are one of the cutting edge institutions. Then using design thinking process and keeping it in mind. I do like to introduce you to design thinking process if you have not learned about this before. Design thinking process, this was something that I was introduced to through the Stanford 2025. This process is a very good way of thinking as a designer. You want to start with empathy. Empathy means that I'm trying to get enough information, asking questions that would help me understand someone or some situation. So by empathy, you're gathering as much data and observing as many people and process that is happening around you. So if you are a new teacher, you want to start with empathy. You don't want to just jump in with a bunch of ideas. First, look at what's going on around you and what's going to be the need or the next step for where you are. Then define the problem, define what is something that you can do better, what is a change that you have to foresee to implement in your institution. So define the problem And then once you define the problem, you are able to be more focused. Then once you're focused and you know what's the problem or the idea, then you want to ideate. You want to gather more information. You want to get ideas by reading, by doing research, by reviewing articles, by attending conferences, and anything that can give you a better idea. You never have to feel like that you have to be the one who is coming up with better ideas. Maybe you have a colleague that is a futuristic person. Maybe they come up with great ideas. It's okay to advocate for someone else's good idea. You don't have to always come up with the good ideas yourself as a change agent. Once you ideate, you use those ideas to design something. And as you design, we often wait until our design is almost complete to implement it. Now, the design process recommends prototyping the design or the change with smaller group of people. So that's called prototype. You want to have a smaller portion of your work, which is not perfect, implemented with a smaller group just to get some idea that how you can improve it before you implement it with a larger group of people or in a larger institution, to avoid issues and challenges and lots of money to be spent on something that could possibly fail. So prototype will help you save some time, energy, and some headache from potential failure of the process that you can also improve in the next step. So once you prototype it with small group, you find out what works and what doesn't work, you improve that, and then you test it with the larger group, which can be your student in the classroom or all the students in your school, or if it is something that is related to the process that is happening in your school, you can implement it in a larger group. So using this design thinking process is very helpful because you never have to be perfect, but you always have to go back and start observing and empathizing and defining and ideating and prototyping and testing. So you keep moving, you keep improving what you're doing. As a change agent, you also want to back up your idea as well. You have different personalities in your school. There are some people who are pushing back against the change. There are some people who are advocating and jumping on a good idea to implement it. With whoever you're working with, it's always good to back your ideas with the standards that are available, with the Common Core, Iowa Core, InTask standards, 21st century learning skills, everything that can make it clear that you have been mindful of choosing the idea that is going to be helpful and beneficial for your students and the school. So always back up your ideas with the standards, back up your ideas with the peer-reviewed journals, with practice of with the best practices that other colleagues share through your PLN, and try to go beyond what your creativity lets you do. One of the very important characteristics of a change agent is communicating well. As a change agent, you want to be able to communicate why a change is important to your institution. You also want to be able to communicate why you have to go through the challenges that comes with the change. So if you know your audience, you will be able to do a better and more effective communication of the importance of that change. Then you have to be ready to provide support for those who are challenged, those who have some challenges with dealing with a change, those who need some help technical support, other kind of support, information, skills, trainings that they need to have access to. So you want to make sure that you're thinking about that, you're mindful of that, and you're providing that, or you make sure that those supports are provided for everybody in that group that you are making the change for. Look forward to what future brings. Don't limit yourself to what's happening right now in the schools or community around yourself. Try to look for what are some of the skills that your students need in 5, 10 years, 20 years from now. Don't limit yourself to what's needed now. Try to look ahead. Try to look at what are the upcoming technologies that are released. Try to know what are some of the skills that students are going to need in 10 years from now to be able to take the jobs that don't exist currently. Understand the challenges and don't give up. I did ask Farah Kashev, who is teaching one of the other section of the EdTech and Design, to record herself telling me in a very short, brief sentence that what are or is some challenges that change agents face. So she did record this for me, and I'm going to share this with you.
To be a change agent is to have patience and to educate. Meaningful and proper change doesn't happen overnight.
That's a very good definition of being a change agent. You want to be patient, you want to provide support, and you want to know that the change is not going to happen overnight. You have to be patient, and you have to go through the different phases to meet the goal that you are looking for. After all, you have to take an action. If you are a student, if you are a teacher, if you're a student teacher, you have to look around and you have to take an action. You cannot just talk about it. You have to do it. So take an action now and be a change agent from now. Have a great rest of the week. Bye.